Today I woke up with two choices. I could either go outside and be productive, or I could let my body decay into my chair and re-download something that has already taken 5,000 hours of my life. The decision seemed obvious. But instead of punishing myself like a crack-smoking monkey, I decided to join a big tribe. Never in my life have I been more excited to see how fast I could make my new friends lean into that feeling they felt crawling up their spine, yes, the feeling to try drinking bleach in unison. Turns out my new friends have taken a page right out of Genghis Khan's little book and decided to declare war on anything that might be a living organism. Now you might think this is the start of a beautiful developing society where we are trying to overthrow the Bible-thumping cross-dressers. But the truth is my new friends are almost all the equivalent of Hannibal Lecter on steroids, but just like the actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan says in the movie Rampage. Us assholes have to stick together. So one of the first adventures these sociopaths take me on is to the wonderful map Genesis, where they have decided to investigate the sperm bank for some fun activities. Apparently, the game I knew has changed a bit over times, especially seeing as on this specific map you cannot fly. My pals however have a plan in mind. They will challenge each other to what might seem as a handy-dandy game of Fortnite, building ramps in every direction in an attempt to close the gap between them and their sperm withdrawal. So I am asked politely to sit down on the Yule Tyrannus and to show off my vocal cords to the enemy in an attempt to clearly seduce them with my Shakira's Hips Don't Lie cover song. Somehow this does not make them seem to change their minds, and we proceed to exchange violent love notes in the form of bullets and rocket launchers. Clearly, there is no accounting for taste. Some time goes by and the spark between both tribes seems to be extinguishing, so in a final desperate attempt to rekindle the love that once was, we send them an Uber Eats seafood delivery. Sadly, just like Captain Ahab Ishmael in Moby Dick, they decide to harpoon down our final message of love. There and then we realize this is not going to work and fall back. Love can't always win. A new day arrives and I decide to cosplay Aladdin traveling on my trustworthy blue shiny Charizard when I find Jasmine talking to Seth MacFarlane. Clearly, my hands are tied and the only option that is left is to establish dominance in this relationship by force. So I proceed to place my friend Happy Jr. and talk to them in a civilized manner. I go in for my introduction, but it quickly becomes evident that my presence is about as desired as seeing Bill Cosby right before closing your eyes. It takes a bit of convincing, but finally I convince Princess Sparkles to leave Seth MacFarlane so she can hang out with me. Little does she know she's about to meet Mr. Happy Jr. and he's been saving his load for a couple of days. After a quick behind the dark alleyway beatdown, we realize that we can't have any witnesses. Mr. Chubbs has of course already called for his premium Uber and decided to flee the scene of the crime. I am later informed that the Uber driver and his co-workers are out poaching the ocean for calamari. To my horror, I quickly spot Squidsalot, Sir Squid Belton, Squidward, and Mr. Incredible mutilated floating bodies. They decide to try to get rid of me by shooting Charizard with a BB gun. One of them even decided to show off his fancy flare gun. This man was later identified as a relative to Stevie Wonder. Riding on the full wrath of a charging lubed-up ocean dildo straight from hell, my friend decided it was time to learn some taxidermy. The Uber has now become a professional Mario Kart drip champion, but it's too late. The heat-seeking dildo is about to hit hyperspeed. His turrets shoot every single bullet, yet it seems like it's nothing more than an acupuncture therapy session. The cabin crew are eaten one by one, surrendering kits and cryopods as tribute. However, this Uber driver knows he's in too deep to stop this joyride now. We noticed that we were however lacking the correct equipment to proceed with the taxidermy, so we decided to call it a day. We wished them all the best on their remaining days. Two options: this fortress is either owned by a prison state, or this is the nightmare establishment of Jeffrey Epstein. Either way, clearly these walls are stopping something from being free. And it is my duty as a citizen of ARK Survival Evolved to make sure no one is getting the Joseph Fritzl treatment. As is tradition, I place Happy Jr. before launching my investigation. What could possibly be behind these walls? Hopefully, this epileptic beefcake could soak all the turrets with his well-toned physical form. It looks like all those hot dog eating competitions are finally going to pay off. We ring on the doorbell constantly, and we can hear the parasaur throwing a panic tantrum, but no one comes to answer the door. So like any normal person, we let ourselves in with force. Someone is home, but they seem too busy to care about their new easily accessible glory hole that we made for them. quickly this has gone from a casual inspection to a forced MTV Cribs episode. Everyone in the establishment seems to be minding their own, however, so we choose to continue with our inspection. We casually brush up against the wall like a wild animal would do to mark its territory in an attempt to warn the currently passive dinosaurs of our presence. They have clearly been drugged. This might be Jeffrey Epstein's house after all. We seem to be having a problem finding the door, so we choose to make one of our own with the help of Coca-Cola and Mentos. Miss Sparkle seems to be too busy with her Candy Crush game to notice that she's about to lose a few teeth. Now for this next part, I'm going to fast forward for a while. Let's say I'm taking a sabbatical. God damn it, it's Matt Damon. No matter where you look, somehow this guy always gets on camera. However, he seems to hate autographs, and so does this bola in my hand. He closes the door on me, jokingly screaming, "Stop following me." My paranoia kicks in and I decide to evacuate the building before he pulls up with a GIMP costume. There is still something that troubles me with all this. What happens to all the confused dinosaurs in the house? This is their chance to be free. I use my megaphone to get their attention. Happy Jr. will help evacuate them from this location. It seems like there is a peeping Tom above my head waiting for the right moment to challenge me to a tickle fight. I greet him with open arms. He seems to be experienced at being lifted up and quickly grabs the wall with his steroid-pumped hand. He doesn't seem to be so ready the second time around. He proceeds to shank my green Charizard a few times, like if this was some sort of prison movie. So I decide to introduce him to Happy Jr., who seems to be currently dealing with Matt Damon's fan club. Luckily, Happy Jr. tends to be a stand-up guy and always has some extra love to give to strangers. Clearly this peeping Tom is the kind of guy who always makes the same New Year's resolution to go to the gym but never follows through because he weighs more than Fat John. I've discovered that if I whisper to the neighborhood teenagers that Matt Damon's fangirls will never be interested in them, they will throw remarkable tantrums unlike anything I have ever seen. The neighborhood teenagers seem to have unlocked their Neanderthal DNA and decided they should treat these girls like their dads treat their mothers at home. The fangirls, however, have been to enough seminars to understand how to deal with people that don't take no for an answer. There he is again. That turd burglar has come to ruin my entertainment. This psychopath is sexually identifying himself as a dragon and telling all his fans that he will guide them to safety. These innocent hormonal monsters all think this is a great idea and he slowly drags them around the neighborhood. It almost feels like he's just doing it to show off his house. Matt Damon is almost done with his sheep herding. But something triggers inside of me and I get the urge to replay the scene from the Mummy movie where Benny takes too long to leave the treasure room and the door closes on him in the last second. Quoting Brendan Fraser, "Goodbye, Benny." To repent for this horrible action, I decided to start building a safe house for abuse victims. Matt Damon is not pleased by this and sends one of his flying Kit Kats to inspect my property certificate. I didn't know I needed one, so I do the only logical thing and murder the middleman. The building can resume peacefully now. While slowly setting up the structures, I remember how much I hate building. These victims better not have expectations of such luxuries as food and safety. While quickly running out of supplies, I realize that Matt Damon has sent me some extra resources by mistake. Being inspired, I continue my service to the world. Doctors Without Borders ain't got shit on me. Being a reasonable man however and obviously not attempting to ruin the perfect reputation of this man, I decide to have a peace talk meeting. Matt Damon agrees to the terms to give me one of his prisoners in exchange of me removing my help clinic. Obviously being a master mediator, I let the antagonist in the story dictate the shots and agree to instantly remove my structure in exchange for one hostage. It's official, we have come to an agreement and can finally continue with our lives. No harm no foul, as they say. My reputation as a man of the people remains intact. I have saved one person and should be treated like the hero I am. Just like your local politician, I am ready to have my ego stroked by everyone. I am a goddamn saint.